Isn't aquarium a dreamy place? You just have to see the dim lights and hear the gentle hum of the pumps to feel instantly relaxed. Even the floor tiles are rubber. There are practical reasons for this. It's non-slip and water resistant, but also it means our footsteps are soft and silent. It's like we're floating, as in a dream. Let's walk these strange corridors and enjoy the wonders of the aquatic world. This gallery of extraordinary creatures. As for people, the aquarium is practically empty. There's no need to hurry our visit, because tonight is late opening. We can stay as long as we like and take in the sights in our own time. Tonight's wind down is an exercise we call noting. It helps to soothe the mind, and once you've learnt it, you can even use it if you wake up in the night. We're going to be counting our breaths and then just gently noting thoughts and feelings as they arise. We're not trying to change them. We're simply labeling thinking as thinking, feeling as feeling. It may sound incredibly simple, but it can help to create distance between ourselves and the thought, ourselves and the feeling, so we don't get so involved in it. That, in turn, creates a more restful state of mind. In other words, the perfect state of mind for gentle, restful sleep. So to begin with, just take a moment or two to get comfortable. Make sure you're nice and cool. Just starting with some nice, big, deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next out breath, allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm, in and out through the nose, and just feeling the weight of the body pressing down into your bed. And in your own time, starting to count the breaths as they pass. 1 with the rise, 2 with the fall, just up to a count of 10. When you get to 10, you can stop and start again at 1. And remember, any time you get distracted, the moment you realize you're distracted by thought, simply note it, thinking, and return to the breath. Or, if feeling arises, feeling, and return to the breath. That noting is very gentle, not harsh at all. Think of it like a feather, just gently touching the surface of a crystal glass. I'm going to give you a few moments just to keep counting the breath and noting any thoughts and feelings that arise. The 30 or so catfish in the tank are moving at different speeds. Some drift in lazy, slow arcs. Others dart after each other, playing, their shimmering bodies unsettling the sand beneath them in a slow cloud. Their mouths open and close almost imperceptibly, sucking in the trails of green algae floating through the water. On each fish, a thin blue line extends upwards from the back of the eye to the tip of the tail. The lines are identical, each line extending at an identical angle. The eyes are all deep and dark and staring. The tank is lined with stones and leaf debris. A smoky-colored catfish with thick, fleshy whiskers swims to and fro beneath 2 palm leaves. Then, having chosen one, takes a deep yawn, its mouth opening into a wide O, and attaches its lips to the leaf. Your footsteps are silent. All we can hear are watery noises. The murmur of engines and the low hum of bubbles breaking on the water's surface. You stop for a moment at an empty tank. Tiny blades of yellow seagrass sway on some invisible current, making shadows on the sand. The air is quiet. The only sound is the low hum of a pump somewhere. It's so faint, you can only hear it because it's late and almost everyone else is gone. From within the yellow grass, hardly visible, a shape appears. A shrimp. Its body is almost completely transparent, so you might not have seen it were it not for the spray of rust-colored spots along its back. Hello, shrimp. Its body is quite upright and moves lightly, very lightly, as if walking on tiptoe to avoid unsettling the sand. A hand scatters tiny white specks of feed into the water. One by one, the shrimp lifts its legs, pale and slow, as if climbing an invisible flight of steps. It walks upwards through the water towards the food. It ought to have been graceful, but the shrimp is a bit silly looking, like a power walker or an official out on important business. Of all the tanks, there is one you return to several times, whereas the water in the other tanks has a vaguely murky quality. This tank is as turquoise as the sea off of Capri. Why do you like watching the jellyfish so much? Jellyfish don't dart. They don't twitch. It looks like breathing, doesn't it? The way their bodies expand with water, then contract as they push it out again. And you can't help synchronizing your breath with the jellyfish, pulsing in and out, as they rise upwards. Sometimes, as if tired from the effort, the jellyfish let go, allowing themselves to drift, their bodies carried along for a moment by the water before puffing up again and going on, their long white tentacles trailing behind them. Pause for a moment at the tropical fish. Orange, yellow, blue, green. They're beautiful before moving on. To one side is a small tank, empty apart from a plump pink starfish shrugging its way along the sand. It's moving so slowly it could almost be a stone. You might mistake it for a stone were it not glowing, luminous, as if lit from within by a fluorescent bulb. In the same tank, but a little further back, a crimson-colored bit of seaweed sways, knocking its leafless branches gently on the glass. It's nice to be stopped here, watching them. The starfish and seaweed. There's something about the scene which the eye likes. Their stillness, perhaps. The way they're just being together in a pleasantly wordless sort of companionship. Looking up along the length of the aquarium, the row of fish tanks look less like fish tanks and more like windows onto another world. It's like standing on the beach looking out to sea, that sudden release, as if by coming to the edge of the land, which is where we do our work. We can finally relax. Late afternoon. The sun is setting outside the aquarium. In the middle of the tank, a white circle of coral lifts its edges up to catch the light. A small, blue-spotted fish swims up to it and dips its mouth into the middle as if drinking from a large china cup. Large mushrooms of pink coral bloom on a pile of rust-colored rocks. Hundreds of air bubbles glisten on their skin. Does coral breathe? An angelfish, decorated with vivid blue, white, and orange stripes, has taken an interest in you. It seems to be following you with its eyes, though it might just be looking your general direction. Its eyes are set so far apart that it's hard to tell exactly what it's looking at. As you approach, the fish sways its body in a manner which seems, though you're sure you're wrong about this, to be showing off, to be saying, "Look at me." And indeed, it's so beautiful that you don't have it in you not to look. The aquarium is dimly lit. Water from the large tank, extending from floor to ceiling, turns the walls light blue. Hundreds of longfish swirl through the water, their silvery scales flashing as they turn this way and that. Attracted now to something interesting up here, then hurrying off to something down there. You sit down on the old wooden bench which runs along the aquarium wall. The seat is carved with the graffiti of long-gone school children. Lorna loves Al. The water is misty, fogged up with tiny spots of green algae. You try to resist it. You try to focus on each little fish, to be attentive to their specific colors, to study their unique fishy characteristics. And although at first you are successful in this, you seem to have figured out which fish is which, who is leading the pack, who is following. Your concentration gives way. Anyway, one leader gives way to another, and the patterns they make are always changing. And then, because the semi-dark invites it, you let your eyes relax, zooming out until the individual fish swimming together seem to slip their silvery bodies and spill into each other's, forming a single shimmering cloud. This tank is still. Even the green hose pipe poking its nozzle into the top corner is turned off. "Did you know," says a sign on the wall, "bristlenose plecos are nocturnal and mostly eat at night." From under a piece of wood, a shape appears, black with small pearly spots on its back, not so much swimming as squiggling through the water, rolling its body along the sand. There is a crackle and a mechanical voice. You look up for a moment to see a reflection in the tank. A volunteer with a walkie-talkie in her hand. She drags her feet. Her shoes make a sighing sound as they move. Then, looking back, the fish is gone. Almost. You'd not have seen it had it not, from time to time, twitched its fin. Lily pads cover the surface of the tank. Their succulent green leaves give the water a luminosity, as if the light passing through them has acquired something of what makes them alive. You stand there for some time, waiting for the fish to move. But it doesn't. It just lies there, camouflaged by the dappled light in the twigs and driftwood. The stingray is so much bigger than it looks in photographs. So much bigger and more elegant. A school of fish swims beneath the ray's outstretched wings as if sheltering beneath a huge umbrella. The way it moves, swaying its wide, flat body, looks less like swimming than like sliding, or flying, or even soaring through the water. It's warm in the aquarium, warmer than one might expect it to be. The gentle light creates a feeling of intimacy. You put your hand against the cool glass and the ray approaches, tilting itself toward you as if offering its white underbelly to be touched. There is a murmur of voices coming from somewhere out of sight. You can hear from their higher and lower tones that it is a child and an adult talking. But apart from the occasional outburst, "Look, it's a clownfish. Shh." It's impossible to make out what they're actually saying. Between branches of brightly colored coral float a dozen or so brilliant yellowfish, all facing one direction, as if something interesting is about to take place. Their fins move, but their bodies are suspended in perfect stillness. What are they waiting for? A jet of bubbles pushed down into the water from above floats back up again, making rippling patterns on the sand. One fish, tired of waiting, flicks its tail and darts off, followed almost immediately by a second fish, peeling off in the opposite direction. They zigzag jerkily through the water, turning left and right and left and right, until, having swum around in circles for some time, they approach each other and briefly touch mouths. You never know for sure what's in someone else's head, much less in the head of a fish. But one can't help wondering if this is a strange form of romance.